Every time Majestic Dragon appears in 5Ds, it's used on the same turn that it was drawn, to synchro summon a Majestic monster. Thousand Eyes Restrict was the first fusion monster to be limited, as well as the first to be forbidden. It was also the first fusion effect monster, as well as the first fusion monster that had a ritual monster as material. It's also the only fusion monster that shares the same attribute, type, level, attack, and defense as both of its fusion materials. Clockwork Knight has the longest import time of any continuous spell. It took over 20 years to be released, after first appearing on the 14th of May 2002. Black Rose Dragon was never used against a Mech Lord monster in 5Ds. Obelisk the Tormentor is the only god card that wasn't used in a duel in GX. Eye of Illusion was released 25 years after it was first shown. This gives it the longest import time of any card into the OCG. There is a 50% chance of landing 2 heads out of 3 coin flips for Barrel Dragon's effect, which means you would have the same odds just doing 1 coin flip. Pot of the Forbidden mimics the effects of 4 spell cards, and these spells are Pot of Greed, Giant Trunade, Raigeki, and the Forceful Sentry. The reason Pot of the Forbidden mimics these effects is because all of these spells were forbidden at the time of its release. Galaxy Eyes Cypher X Dragon is the first rank 10 Galaxy Eyes monster. It's also the first Galaxy Eyes monster to appear with 4 wings. Gather Your Mind was the first card to have a hard once per turn restriction. This restriction is for cards that specifically state only 1 copy of it can be used per turn. Spellbinding Circle appears in the background of every piece of Exodia. This could imply that Spellbinding Circle is actually keeping Exodia sealed. Utopia Kaiser was the first Utopia monster that wasn't number 39, and it was the first Utopia monster that Human ever used. Vector was the only one of the 7 Barian Emperors who never used Rank Up Magic, the 7th one. The first monster summoned in Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal is Submersible Carrier Aero Shark. However, the monsters used to summon it are never shown being summoned themselves. Gamshara is one of the only cards that keeps the same name in the OCG and the TCG. For some reason, Cerberus is misspelled on the English release of Flame Cerberus. Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth is never summoned in the manga. When the card was first released in the OCG, it was impossible to summon, as neither Petite Moth or Cocoon of Evolution had been released. Neo Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon has the highest original attack of any Chaos number. It's also tied with number 22 for the highest original attack of any number monster. The first Photon Xyz monster summoned in Zexal is not summoned by Kite. Photon Papilloperative is the first, and it's summoned by Dextra. Dragon Master Knight was the first fusion monster to list a fusion monster and a ritual monster as materials. Sinister Serpent was the first reptile effect monster, as well as the first reptile monster to be forbidden. Seven-Armed Fiend was censored by having its attack and defense changed. In the original Japanese version, the card has 666 attack and defense, but because this number has biblical ties to the devil, the monster's attack and defense was changed to 1000. Ritual of Grace was the first ritual spell card to have an effect besides ritual summoning a ritual monster. Blue Eyes Alternative White Dragon's effect is a limited version of Burst Stream of Destruction, as it destroys a monster at the cost of not being able to attack. The only difference being that Burst Stream of Destruction can destroy all of your opponent's monsters. Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon was the first Blue Eyes ritual monster. Invoked Elysium is the only monster that can be treated as all attributes besides divine. The kanji that appears on Hero of the East roughly translates to loyalty. Now it's time for a trivia round. In Duelist Kingdom, how many invitational and prize cards are there in total? Could it be A, 3, or maybe it's B, 4, or is it C, 5? The correct answer is C. In the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime, Lord of the Red and Red Eyes Black Dragon have the same attack and defense. However, for some reason, in the TCG, Lord of the Red has 2100 defense. This card's art is taken from when Joey first uses it against Valen. The green glow at the bottom of the card is actually the light emanating from the seal of Orichalcos. Number 87 has the highest attack of any plant-type monster. Out of all the Cyano dragons, Ancient Fairy Dragon has the lowest attack and highest defense, and it's also the only Cyano dragon to be forbidden. Cyber Dragon Infinity was the first Xyz monster to require Xyz materials of a specific type and attribute. Lightning Warrior was the first Synchro monster summoned in the 5Ds manga. The thunderbolts in Flash of the Forbidden Spell form a kanji, and this kanji translates to sealed magic. There was only one monster that was printed in Starfoil Rare in every set that had this rarity, and that monster was Gargaga Magician. Dark Magical Circle appears in the card art of Premature Burial. This is strange as the cards have no real relation to each other at all. Yuma uses Wonder Wand several times in Zexal, however he never uses its second effect. The spell card that Yugi used the most number of times is Polymerization. He used this card a total of 18 times throughout Duel Monsters. Flame Champion is described as a warrior protected by a flaming shield that nullifies any attack. However, ironically, the card's attack is higher than its defense. Ragnar Zero is the only barrier number that never declared an attack on screen in Zexal. Armored Glass appears in the artwork of Armor Break, in which the glass is shown being absolutely mercilessly obliterated. There are 3 traps that appear in Trap Stun, and all 3 of them have negation effects. And these traps are Royal Oppression, Royal Command, and Imperial Order. The musical Jin monsters can benefit other Xyz monsters with Jin in their name. This is because their effects target Jin Xyz monsters. The musical Jin's effects were not meant to target these monsters, however they can be used to do this. Gem Knight Crystal is the only Gem Knight normal monster that's not listed as fusion material of any fusion monster. In Yu-Gi-Oh! GX, Elemental Hero Prisma is a level 5 monster. However, in the OCG and TCG, the monster is level 4. Tribute to the Doomed didn't have "the" capitalized in its name for a long time after it was released. And also Alpha, Beta, and Gamma the Magnet Warrior had the same problem. Wake Up Your Elemental Hero is the only hero card that has hero at the end of its name. Secret rares are printed in a top right to bottom left direction. However, secret rare variants of Thousand Dragon have the foil printed from top left to bottom right. Performapal Silver Claw has been used for all 3 extra deck summoning methods. In Arc 5 it was used to summon Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon in episode 26, Enlightenment Paladin in episode 79, and 3 times for Dark Rebellion Xyz Dragon in episodes 39, 43, and 90. Interplanetary Purply Thorny Dragon has a counterpart called Interplanetary Purply Thorny Beast. These cards have the opposite attack and defense of each other, and one is summoned from the hand, while the other is summoned from the graveyard. Rogue Doll's flavor text is actually a reference to its first manga appearance, where due to being a white magic type, it was more effective battling fiend types. Rank Up Magic Argent's Chaos Force can only be used once per duel. However, funnily enough, the card is reused at least once in every duel it's played in during Zexal. So it looks like you made it this far, but can you answer this? In Duel Monsters, Yugi summons Gazelle, the king of mythical beasts, and Big Shield Gardener the same number of times. But how many times does he summon these monsters? Leave your answers in the comments.